Welcome back, everybody, to Be Real and Heal. I'm so excited today to have a very special guest in studio, not in studio, via Zoom.
I mean, basically there.
I feel like we're together. Caitlin Crosby. Caitlin, I'm going to give you a brief introduction, then I want you to take it away because you have a big introduction to give. I feel like so many hats you've worn, so many things you've done. Caitlin, though, is a mother, a creator, a brilliant light, a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, a singer, a faithful light in this world, everything and so much more. Caitlin Crosby, introduce yourself and welcome to Be Real and Heal.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to spend some time with you. I've been loving working with you over the past year, and I love everything that you're doing. So I'm happy to spend some time together and go deep and hopefully inspire some people as we gab.
Yes. So I met Caitlin a few years ago. I was at a conference and Caitlin spoke. And I don't think I ever had the guts to walk up to you and actually talk to you, but I had the nudge to that little silent tug in your heart to be like, oh my gosh, I feel like we have so much in common and I feel like I need to talk to her more. And I didn't, and I left the room, and but I was really inspired by your story and a lot of things like that I took away from it, just multi-passionate, kind of someone who, when someone says you can't do that, you're like, watch me. So I definitely felt that connection. Thunder, could you hear that? Big thunder.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
kind of
I did.
fun in the middle of it. So we've got storms here today in Texas. Anyway, after leaving that event, I kind of just followed along. I watched what you did and watched your business and watched things you were doing. And so Caitlin referred that we've worked together actually the last year about, she opened up some coaching opportunities for people that were doing heart-based missions, businesses. And I put my name in kind of like on a whim, like there's no way I'm going to get this. And I thought when I got the response saying like I thought it was just like a blanket email or message that went to everybody. And I was like, this can't be real. Or like, I couldn't believe it that I actually got picked to like work one-on-one with you. So she's been my business coach for the last year and has inspired me to do so much. So many of the things that I've done in my business in the last year have been sparks that I've talked to you about. And then you've been like, I mean, this podcast alone started, right around that time. And I just thank you for everything. So I'd love for you to start by telling that story of Giving Keys, your business, and how you got started, because that's what inspired me from the jump.
Yes. Okay, so grew up in entertainment, doing music and acting and all that jazz over here in LA, and was touring and started collecting old keys from hotel rooms I would stay at all over the US. And the first key was in New York, and I thought it was I thought it was just a cool shape. It was kind of big and obnoxious. And, when you're performing, it's like you kind of want to find unique things to wear on stage. And so put the big key around my necklace and would get compliments on it. And at the time, I was doing a website with the actress Brie Larson, um, and a website called Love Your Flaws, about body image issues and helping women embrace their imperfections, or their quote unquote so-called imperfections. So went around and took thousands of pictures of girls and women and men too, holding up signs that said something like, my chemo fried hair is beautiful, my scar saved my life, my cankles are the new black, um, all the things. And this was around the time of before Dove Beauty campaign, no, Real Beauty, Dove campaigns that we were working with back then. And so everything on the first few keys I got engraved said "Love Your Flaws" on it, and they kind of went with that theme. And so then I started making jewelry out of them, and selling them on tour at the merchandise tables. And then they started selling out more than my CDs. So I was like, okay, well, thanks for coming to my show and buying these freaking key necklaces. But I knew people were really resonating with the words. So little by little came up with this pay it forward concept. Get a word that you need, then pass it on to someone you feel needs it more than you. Then tell that person they have to pass it on to someone who needs it more than them. And people started writing me on MySpace at the time saying that, They just gave their key away to someone who was about to commit suicide. They just gave their key away to someone who's going through a divorce. They gave their key to someone who lost their job, who has cancer. Like it was just, they are these magical tokens that really change people's lives and touch people in the hardest points of their life. And we have um, sobriety keys, we have with dates on it, we have serenity prayer, we have like a grieving and empathy collection, sympathy collection. And then I knew I wanted the money to go to some sort of charity. So I waited for the missing link for about a year. And I was leaving church one day on Hollywood Boulevard, and it was like a scene from a movie where it was raining, and I saw this one young couple experiencing homelessness. They were living in a dumpster in a cardboard box, and they were holding up a sign that said ugly, broke, and hungry. So I went up to them and I was like, "What does your sign say that?" And ended up taking them to dinner that night. And the girl, 2 hours into dinner, the girl said she liked making jewelry. And I had my aha moment, and I said, "Oh, you're the missing link to the Given Keys. Do you guys want to be my business partners?" And they were like, "What?" Okay. So went to the locksmith the next day, bought the engraving equipment, started paying them to engrave all the words on the keys. Fast forward, after 10 years, we ended up employing over 150 people that were trying to transition out of homelessness to make everything. So it's like a double do good, pay it forward brand and mission.
I love it. And so I think it was 2021 when I came and saw you at the Bloom conference and heard that story. And at the time, I had just come out of, so in my nonprofit, I did a lot of different events, raising money for different causes. I had a lot of people say, like, well, you got to pick one, just pick one lane, pick one lane. And I was like, no, like, this is important. You know, she went through this loss of her mother to pancreatic cancer. This one lost her mom to a brain aneurysm. You know, we're walking for sarcoma. We're like all these reasons around me that impacted me and touched me. And I wanted to like, I never wanted someone to fight alone or for any cause or anyone's heart mission to not be able to be supported, right? So, like one of our last events that we did was called Race for Your Reason, and it was a different kind of run walk. I'd done a number of them before, and this one allowed every participant that raced to write in their own, like write in the charity that they wanted their registration dollars to go to. And again, I did it different in that I went to races and saw 2,000 people out there, and then they'd be like, "We raised $4,000 today." I'm like, 2,000 people, you know, 4,000, wait, $2 per person? Where did all the registration dollars go? So in my races, I tried to have every dollar go to the charity. So if someone registered for $35 was going to their charity of their choice so that we could impact more and support more. So I remember sitting in your room, and that was shortly after I had postpartum and had gone through, I think, even my cancer diagnosis and treatment. And I sat in this room with this new heart mission of my nonprofit supporting mental health and whatever that journey was. If you lost someone you loved, if you struggled with depression, if you had a cancer diagnosis, and really everyone that I had experienced in life that had a hurt, supporting everybody in making sure they were healthy to continue on and like focusing on, you know, making therapy less, you know, isolating or, you know, hush hush, making it normal, like normalizing that therapy is needed and it's normal. And I've had a lot of pivotal people along the way that have, you know, shown me that and helped me realize that. But I love, like, it was me starting to like love my own flaws. Like it was me starting to be like, you know what? I went through postpartum depression and anxiety, and I need to find a way to like love myself and love those parts of me. And I want everyone else that struggles in whatever they are to like be built up with community and people around them and normalize it. Hence, you know, moving into the women's events and Be Real and Heal podcast and everything. So I just remember hearing you talk about it all. And obviously, this whole episode is going to be about giving, giving keys. But you're such a giving person. I look at what you did in that moment of like, how do I give back? How do I help someone else? And you literally gave a big chunk of your business to this couple. And I remember you saying, like, even years later, like, didn't they get married?
No, they never got married, but they are still together.
They
They
are
did
still together.
for a while. I was very sad about it, but they rekindled the sparks and now they're back together.
Oh my gosh, I love that. But you give so much. And even when you started, so when I started with you, that was like your start of coaching, right? You hadn't done
I had
so.
I had I think two other clients that I was kind of doing on the DL, but I didn't like make an announcement about it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, but I love it so much, and I actually need to. I've been planning to in the next couple weeks. I want to make another announcement saying now that I have a schedule that I've been working on with speaking of therapy with my therapist. I've been working on getting better about scheduling. Here, I'll show you. Um, so he gave me this, and it's just a schedule. And but I just get very overwhelmed with all the different things I do for work. And I just started working with this other new Australian brand. And so I'm driving across town to be with them for a couple days a week. So I need to update my Calendly and then have better chunks of when I can do consulting with people because I need to do that first and then I'll put it in this nice calendar and then I'm going to do a post saying that I can
Coach
open up
more.
work with a few more people, but I just have to be better about planning it, like where to fit it all in. And that so I
Well,
have time to still do giving keys because I still do giving
yeah.
keys full time and
And you
and I
have
want
two
to
kids.
I have two kids. I'm a single mom. I'm working on a third book, a third and fourth book. I love meeting with women and even if they don't have a give back brand or a charity, it's still I love meeting with them and talking through whatever they're going through in life, just encouraging them that, they're not alone. We've all been there. Even if their dream is to, have a lemonade stand or whatever it is, it's like or be more present with their kids. I just love walking alongside women and encouraging them because yeah, we've all been there. And
Hmm.
the only reason I'm here at the Giving Keys and we've been able to help so many people is because of so many incredible women who've come along and men to come along and help me through this whole journey. So I definitely need to keep paying it forward.
Well, and I love when you opened it up because you did originally say like, okay, I'm going to pick 5 or 10 people with heart-based missions, and we had to like put together a little paragraph about what we were doing and what our hope and dream was. And um, so it was cool to be selected. Like she actually read my mission and like she liked it, and the nerves that I came into the first meeting with, like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. Like, and the amount that you've connected with me on a personal level of, I mean, we've had really realistic, we've shot some of it and shared it on social media of like, I'm with you and my daughter comes in and her knee's bleeding and I'm like bandaging her up while we're in the middle of a call and like working motherhood, or you're like, oh, your kids are falling apart at the park. And I'm like, do you need to like put me on hold or like call me back? Or like, do you want to like walk them to a coffee shop and get them like a cookie or something while we're like doing this? Like it makes me feel so normal in my own struggles in business and motherhood and balancing act. And I remember like it probably was only, I just said that I was so nervous going into our first meeting, but I bet it was like our second or third that we went into like full therapy mode of like, I have to like tell you my like struggles and my deepest, darkest secrets. And I know that happens in coaching. I've had a business coach before and like know that he had to help me through some like personal battles at that time too. But you
All
know
connected.
as much as my therapist knows.
Yeah, it's all connected. There, even with me and so many other people I know in business, are quote unquote issues that come up in our business life with employees, business partners. They're the same issues that come up with our love relationships, friendships, therapy rooms, with just our inner layers and traumas and issues or whatever, it comes up everywhere. So it's hard. I can't think of having a business consultant or coach or mentor that isn't also talking about those deeper things because it's really all connected.
Totally. I also love the women's event that I had right before I met you. Because I was trying to help women break through whatever they felt labeled by. So one of the activities we did at the event was I had each woman, we had 60 women there, and they all had to write a word that they felt labeled by. And I'm going to share this. I wasn't sure if I would share this like totally, but I'm going to, I think. So everybody had to write down a word. You stuck it on the wall, and then other women throughout the day could go and write words kind of opposing that or affirmations and things to like counter those words. And like I actually went up there with my word and my mom was at the event and I could see that her word was the exact same word that I had written down. And the word was damaged.
Mm.
And it felt really heavy to see that. Like it felt heavy enough to write it and to like know that. But then when I saw that my mom had written that, it really hurt for her. And but I was able to write affirmations for that word for her and to feel them when I read them around my word. But I think about the irony of like that was just probably 6 months before I came and heard you speak about words and like these words that we felt, that you want people holding up signs with different words, right? And then you see this homeless couple and they're holding up, words on their sign that are like love or, broken and homeless. Man, so maybe that's what also like connected me so much to you. But I've also got two examples of I bought for Christmas that year after I'd met you, I bought Giving Keys like a 12 pack of different variety of words, and I gave them to my family and friends for Christmas. And I let them just pull one out of the box, and I said, I hope it's a word that speaks to you. If it doesn't, maybe it's meant for someone else that you're gonna, interact with. And I explained the whole purpose of Giving Keys and I gave them all away and I was like, man, I didn't even buy myself one. I should have got myself one. So then I bought the word fearless because after my cancer diagnosis, I felt like and with anxiety and stuff in the past, I felt this fear. And I'm like, new me, like I'm gonna buy fearless for myself and I'm gonna wear it. And I wore it for 1 week. And then I ran into a woman at church who had just been diagnosed with breast cancer. And I like was holding it. My daughter had a key necklace as well. And I looked at her and I'm like, I got to give her that key, don't I? And my daughter was like, yep. So I only wore that necklace for 1 week and then gave it to this breast cancer fighter who I've had on the podcast, who
Wow.
since then has given her key to somebody else. And then while we were recording her podcast, I had on a new key while we were recording this, I create. And during our interview, she was talking about wanting to create a podcast of her own for breast cancer fighters. So I took off my key and gave it to her. So she's had two keys that I've bought, either for my daughter or myself that have been passed along. But this happens all the time. You hear these stories of the keys being passed on, and you've had some pretty cool people wearing your keys that you have seen. I mean, celebrities. I saw you shared not that long ago, Pink
Yes.
had a
Yeah.
giving key.
Yeah. So
And
many people have worn them through the years. And it's all been word of mouth. We've never paid a celebrity to wear one. It's just all been organic and authentic. People passing them on, like Taylor Swift getting one with Kelsey Ballerini, and then they switched, they swapped.
oh,
They had Inspire and Create. And that was before she did her bracelet swapping BFF. I mean,
really? Oh,
so just saying,
inspired by Caitlin Crosby. Oh
because
my
they
gosh, I
did.
love
I know
that.
they got them at Fred Siegel, and they first had Inspire and Create, Taylor and Kelsey, and then they swapped them because the Pay It Forward, their thing, and then yeah, then years later she started doing that with the bracelet. So I mean, I think it was probably in her brain from that. I mean, that's what I mean.
It was. I love
It's
it.
not.
Well, and the other fun thing, so I know we just mentioned them, and you've gotten incredible opportunities where you have been at the ESPYs, right? Where
Mm.
you've had a stand set up and you've been able to like engage with other with big athletes that don't even necessarily know about it, and then they come up and then they're really like you can see some of these moments that you've shared where they're like really thoughtful in the moment of choosing their word. And so you brush shoulders with these incredible people. But you guys, this is my be real moment of our conversation. Like sometimes when I'm talking to Caitlin, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, we're so alike, and the kids. And then you're like, when I was at Kathy Hilton's last night for dinner, and I'm like, who am I talking to? And like, how did I get here? It's a pinch me moment. Now, you just had a pinch me moment before we started recording that we can't talk about.
Mm.
But when those things happen, you're like, what? And so
Yeah.
I've just been amazed sometimes. Or the one time I'm like, oh, I did this podcast training program through Jenna Kutcher. And you're like, oh my gosh, Jenna, I'm going to FaceTime her. And they're, oh, Jenna, this is Bri. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So to normal people, it feels whoa. And I know you probably don't get that, but um, it's like these moments just of like, is this real life? And I know you had that moment right before we started recording. We're like, is this real? This just happened. You guys will find that out soon enough. But um, I don't know. I'm just grateful, and I think you're incredible. And the way that you just still treat me like it normalizes that every woman goes through these parenting, mothering struggles, the balancing act of entrepreneurship. And so when we do talk, and you're like, I had that same feeling, or oh my gosh, I've gone through that same thing.
Oh yeah.
It we all do. We all go through these things.
Yes, 100%. 100%. We're all humans. We all have kids that don't listen to us and scream and cry and ignore us. And we all have fear and we all are intimidated and we all are overwhelmed. We all,
Imposter syndrome.
yeah, we all wish A, B, and C were different. We all have, bills and we all that scare us. And I mean, maybe just me, I don't know.
No.
But I feel like most people are just all so similar. And I think us, like people in the same tribe, stick together, like both of us talking about how we both are empaths and how, I was reading my kids the book, The Giving Tree, the other day, and Brave brought it in to bed for me to read it. And it was the first time he ever brought it in, and I hadn't read it in years. And my friend Lauren, actually gave it to me for my baby shower for Brave. So
Oh,
from how 8, 9 years ago. And she said, "Too Brave from Lauren. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I hope its message of unconditional love and generosity touches you the way it has touched me. Also, your mama is the giving queen, so felt perfect for you." But I won't stop there. The reason I'm bringing that up, not because it's like tooting my horn of like being the queen, it can be a negative thing. And I think we all need to be super
mm,
empaths and overgivers. We need to be careful of this because when I read this book that night, um, it and it gets to the part where it says, "So the boy cut down her trunk and made a boat and sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really." And then you see a little stump. And then it says, "And after a long time, the boy came back again. 'I am sorry, boy,' said the tree, 'but I have nothing left to give you.'" And then you see that. And I remember reading it to my kids, thinking to myself, oh, I feel that. And I put them to sleep and it hit me. And then the next day I had a really tough meeting for the Giving Keys. We were struggling financially to make payroll and to pay for everything because it's really expensive to do everything that we do at Giving Keys. And I haven't taken a salary since before COVID, and which is stressful because I work full time for Giving Keys for free because I believe in it
mhm,
so much. But
mhm,
the next day, I remember I had a terribly stressful meeting and I hung up the Zoom and got on my couch and I was almost like in fetal position. And I thought about that page in the book of the stump saying, "I have nothing left." And I felt that so deeply. And I was like, I need to make some changes because as empaths, as overgivers, and givers, it's a beautiful thing. And I think some people need to work on giving more for sure. And some people need to work on giving less. So it's up to you to decide what category are you in? And I think I was over giving for so long, and then I went into compassion fatigue,
mm,
where clinical term where it's like you get so numb from giving so much and being such empaths that there's nothing that's like you're numb to it now. Went through that. And then now I'm in a phase where I think I want to give more now because I think I went on a little giving hiatus. And when I said the whole thing about nothing left, I think it was more like the stress. Like I
yeah,
haven't been doing enough self-care
yeah.
to manage the stress properly. Um, so yeah, so I've definitely implemented some changes in the last few weeks since that happened. But reading that book again was helpful to have a visual of that.
I love that. We all need to like reread that book and think about it. And you're right. I mean, that's, my mission, Be Real and Heal. it's to be real about the struggles, but how do you get to the healing? And this is usually something we talk about at the end of our conversation of like, so what did you do in that moment? I mean, you felt it, you recognized it. Like, what are the things like self-care wise that help you heal? I know you've already talked about therapy, you do that. Is there fitness involved? Is sleep?
Yeah, so I really need to work on sleeping more. But definitely working out. I resisted that for so, excuse me. I resisted working out for so long because I didn't want to be that cliche girl. But now the older I've gotten, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh wow, it actually really matters mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, of course. But um it's vital to my mental health, to all of our mental health.
Yeah.
Also, I'm taking GABA supplements. It was like an alternative to um, not antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication that's like, you know, it's a natural remedy. So GABA, GABA, just got it from Whole Foods. My friend that was struggling with anxiety said that her holistic doctor prescribed it to her 3 times a day. So I just kind of copied that. Um, and that has been helpful. Um, Also I do these I mean I have the Calm app. I think a lot of people have the Calm app and just find little meditations throughout the day. Then I have another app called Mama Zen that I like, which has little good meditations for moms. I also have this app that is called, let's see, what is it called? Maybe, oh, it's called I Am. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
just all day long kind of giving you positive affirmations, which I really like. And saying them out loud, I find has been helpful. Otherwise, it
Yes.
kind of gets lost. I also like doing the Hoffman Institute. On Instagram, they have every morning at 8 a.m. PST and 6 p.m. PST. So mornings at 8 a.m. PST, they do these, it's called a quadrinity check-in, and it's only about 10 minutes. And it's their kind of philosophy to get well-rounded, your spiritual, physical, mental, like the four sides of you. And it's just doing this like really cool check-in. The way that they do it, I like it. And then 6 p.m. PST, they do gratitude and appreciation, also just for 10 minutes. And it's so true. When I don't do the gratitude lists and all that, you can palpably feel the difference when you do and when you don't do it. I just
Yep.
joined, well, I didn't join, my friend added me on her gratitude text thread. Here, I'll show you. It's like gratitude.
Yes. Gratitudes.
I don't know 90% of the people on here, but Julie Solomon, she has a podcast. This is her text thread. She has a podcast called, it used to be called the Influencer Podcast. It was like one of the biggest ones. I don't know what it's called now, if it's still called that. But yeah, Julie Solomon. So she has this text thread with all these amazing people on here, and all day long, they're just everyone's saying what they're grateful for. And it's been nice to read those. And I need to do mine for today. I didn't do mine yesterday or today, and I feel it.
Yeah.
It all makes a difference.
I love that. We often do in our household the pits and peaks around the dinner table. So it's our kids' opportunity and our opportunity as a family to talk about, the positive of the day and the negative of the day. And it helps us lead to some conversation to work through that negative, helps us be empathetic for each other and, kind of support each other, talk through it, and then, and celebrate each other's wins and those grateful moments. But these are all amazing things that I love to ask our guests about because first of all, you just gave great examples of, something you could do. I went off my anxiety medication. I was on it for about a year and a half and I went off and I haven't gone back on, but there have been moments where I'm like, ooh, maybe I need to. So to hear about some alternatives, I'm definitely going to check out the GABA stuff and just simple, I mean, apps that are at our fingertips. And you're right. Like I've had the I Am Affirmations app for a long time. And sometimes when I'm in the car and I see it pop up, if I'm on a stoplight, I read it out loud. Because if I'm alone in the car and to hear it, it's like it's your way of like affirming, like, okay, that is me. Yes, I need to feel that. And all of these, as resources to get through those hard days are great. So I love sharing that with everybody. Different people take different things from these episodes. And Caitlin's been a huge part when I first started with her. I had the women's wellness event that we had done in Texas once. We redid it again. We've done some virtual events. I don't know if you saw the big announcement this week, but we remember I was like virtual events, but you're not like in touch with people. Well, we're doing pop-up monthly in-person events now, and our first
Awesome.
one is in 2 weeks. So Caitlin and I have discussed so many things of my dreams, and she's really someone that just helps you think bigger and think about how do I get there? What's my next actionable step? And like some of the best questions she's asked me as a business coach have been like, okay, the three things that you're managing, what brings you joy? And which one isn't? And do you need to like cut back on that? Probably still trying to make sure that I haven't given everything I have to give and I hold on to a little bit of, what I have for my family and myself. And so she's been a huge part of really my whole branding changed in this last year to make, my mom actually came up with the word self-center. And I know that's not, self-centered is very selfish and sounds bad, but my mom came up with that. Maybe it's that intentional, like checking in on yourself. And you and I, that one day was like just this moment of brilliance of like self-center. It's a pulse check. It's a movement. It's that
Uh,
daily,
Daily pulse check. I love that.
yes. So we're going to keep moving with that. Hopefully someday we'll move to that app version and have all of these things accompanying in it. But anyway, thank you, Caitlin, for sharing all of that. We're going to take this fun little break called our Easy Breezy break. And during this time, we do some like fun, lighthearted, rapid fire questions with our guests. It's just to get to know you on like a different level. So no stress, no right or wrong answers. So I always like to start. I'm from Wisconsin originally, lived there for 40 years. Everybody in Wisconsin in their fridge has a cheese drawer.
Mm.
A lot of other people in other states don't, but there's shredded, there's cream cheese, there's, cheese sticks, there's so many kinds, right? So, Caitlin, what's your favorite kind of cheese?
Borzon.
Oh, great
Garlic herb.
answer.
Garlic herb. The herb one.
Love that answer. Nobody has said that yet,
Oh,
and it's so good.
anytime I buy it at the grocery store, I use self-control to not eat it before I get home, but I usually do. I usually open it and I'm eating it with my fingers driving home.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, your ride or die song. Is there one song that if you're in a funk, you put it on and it just lifts you up?
Yep, Switchfoot. We were made to live for so much more, and we lost ourselves. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a great one. I love that. And also, I know she mentioned briefly earlier, she, is a singer. She still is a singer.
Yes, working on a country duo right now.
I love
Um,
it.
yeah, my friend Dom, he's the bass player in The Calling, but he has his own like solo stuff. And he does a bunch of soundtrack stuff. So, and sings for TV shows. So yeah, we have a little country duo called Whiskey Wise,
I love it.
but it's not out yet. We've written and recorded like 8 songs so far. So
But you guys can all follow along and they like share little snippets of them being creative and, trying to come up with the line that works. And I love it. So stay tuned, watch that unfold here. Okay, hugs or high fives?
hugs.
Yeah. I've always wanted to learn to blank.
Mm. Speak French or be a hip hop dancer.
Okay, mine is a break dancer. That's my, and
Pop
like
in the
actually, yes, like, and I want to like fly my feet around. I
Ooh.
don't know what they call that, like a helicopter or something, but I've been to a few women's like leadership events or conferences where they make you say your wildest dream like out loud in front of the group because you never know who's in the room. So we use it a lot in some of our get-togethers and actually in my Bible study group, we were talking about that, and one of the women was like, "Oh, my husband was used to be a break dancer," and I'm like, so that next
Mhm.
family get together of all of our Bible study group and our husbands and kids, he was teaching me basics, and I was down on the floor, and my kids are all upstairs watching over the balcony, looking at mom trying to break dance. I'm gonna do it. Like you have to do it at
Yes,
some
love it.
point. Learn French. Do it. I mean, you can do what's the Duolingo, like just a little bit each week. Do it. Okay. Last one here. Best advice you've ever been given.
Hmm. Think about that one.
I know.
Um, you know what? I don't know if this is advice, but what's popping up in my mind is just the phrase, try to enjoy your life.
That's
But I don't know
great.
who said that, but I'm just thinking like, we try so hard, we do all the things, we're killing ourselves, stressing out about doing all the things all the time and taking care of everything. But it's like, gosh, I don't want, I guess this advice I'm giving myself, the best advice I've ever given myself, but it's just like, what a waste if we're not enjoying it,
Right.
It's like try to enjoy our lives a little bit.
I mean,
I
I
don't,
think that goes back to your whole point of like, you can't deplete yourself fully with all that empathy and then have nothing left for like your kids or for yourself. So it is about, okay, it's a nightmare and everything's crazy and everything's hectic and the schedule's nuts, but then try to have moments of just being present and like enjoying.
yeah,
And you've seen, I mean, you've been through hard stuff. You've watched other people, obviously, with an empathetic heart. You've seen a lot of people go through hard things. And I'm sure you've learned crazy heart stories of people that have given keys to people in hard ships. So, um, that's probably part of it too, is, you're reminded like life is not promised and it's short and you have to enjoy. Not hopefully it's not a sore subject to bring up. We talked briefly about this, but you've been through some hard stuff. You've gone through a divorce. You've done the single motherhood thing, and you also have shared, struggles in entrepreneurship and pivoting singer, and then all of a sudden you're like, and my necklaces are selling more.
mhm.
Um, but you also recently, the fires really affected you guys. I mean, you were safe, but I remember anybody that was following you, my mother-in-law or my mom, I think, was following you, and she was like, "Oh, so Caitlin had to evacuate." Everyone's like, I mean, that was a crazy time, and people that aren't there, they couldn't imagine. But like I mean, you said your parents lost or they didn't lose it, but your childhood home
Yeah.
was
Yeah. I
rough.
mean, it was a crazy time for sure. It was scary, and I feel like it pulled everyone in LA together, and people that weren't here, it's hard to explain what it felt like collectively to be like, is our whole city burning down? Like, what's happening? Is this a terrorist attack? Is this real? Are we all gonna go under? Like, what's happening? So it was terrifying just breathing and seeing the sky and feeling like this is the end of the world, apocalypse. Um, yeah, but we're okay now.
Well, and
But
so our first half of our conversation was really about giving. And obviously we've shared how you do that through your coaching, through your business, through, I mean, just those words being gifted to other people. The second half, I really want to talk about empathy. And I remember I think I coached with you right around that time, right after the fires. You were still not, I don't think you were back at home yet. And you were like, I'm like, are you sure you're like good for a call? And you're like, yeah, yeah, it's good. But weren't you doing something right at that time where you were like out with these signs going around? Yeah, you had like a mission.
oh yeah, I have him here.
Perfect. And that was not planned, people. It just, oh, yeah,
Palisades, LA strong, Altadena strong. Um, yeah, so yeah, we did this really cool initiative and we're still doing it. We're offering it to people. If anyone lost their home in the fire, mail us your house key and we will engrave it with whatever word you want and make a necklace out of it and mail it back to you just for free. And how you can support that initiative if you didn't have a home that burnt down is we have a fire relief collection page. And people can shop from that collection page, and that basically funds us to be able to do that. Like that, we made those pieces a little bit more expensive, so then
mhm,
it covers the cost of doing all the other things for free.
that,
Um, yeah, so always coming up with just different ways to help and using business and commerce and um, all these, platforms and content to actually help people. So
right.
yeah.
No, I love that. So talking about empathy, I shared it briefly with Caitlin before we started, but a few weeks back, my son got an award at school and he was awarded the Empathy Award. Um, they have a new student in their class that moved from Egypt, and he didn't even speak English when he started school. And so a huge barrier of just, trying to integrate with the kids and play with them at recess. And My son, I think, was very helpful in transitioning and helping him, kind of get comfortable. He was out there playing football, teaching him, catch it, or like just different words and simple terms. And of course, I'm sure he was teaching him how to like, celebrate as he made a touchdown and dab and do all the things that he really didn't need to know yet. But I was so proud of him in that moment, watching him get the empathy award, but also felt really heavy and like, oh, he's just like me. And like that comes with such a burden too. It's like I always tell people people tell me my greatest quality is my big heart. And it's also it's the hardest thing to carry because, um, you know, can you relate to that? Do you feel that? Are your kids empathetic?
Yeah. So, okay, my son Brave has a stutter, and it's been a challenge. And he was 2 years old, and he's almost 9 now. And people have said, because we brought him to speech therapists and therapy and all the things, and a lot of people ha- um, have said that it's usually comes up in people that are sensitive, creative, and empaths. And he is that. And I remember back in the day when we had a huge team at the Giving Keys, we took these strength finders tests, and we had everyone that worked for us take the strength finders test. And my number one strength came up as empathy. And then the next day, some newspaper article, some journalist came and interviewed me for something, and she said, and I didn't tell her that, but she asked a bunch of questions just about the story of the Giving Keys and all the work we do. And at the end, she said, "Wow, so this is a company really built on empathy." And I was like, "Wow, that tracks. That makes sense because that's my number one strength finder that I just found out yesterday."
Um,
Anyway, so yes, and I think if we're not careful as empaths, we're going to be that stump crying in fetal position on the couch. So
right.
have, but have your boundaries of like feeling, but not over feeling or letting yourself be responsible for everybody. That's not your responsibility, and to not take on everybody's feelings and emotions and all that.
Well, so when we had a loss in our community, that I connected really deeply with, it was, a mental health related situation. And, it broke me. And then we were surrounding that family for a while. And I was talking to a therapist at the time, and she explained being an empath, sometimes when you leave, when you sit with people, because I would come home after like being around them and hearing the sadness and the pain and watching it all. And I was confused if I was just feeling that or if I was depressed again or if I was sad. So this therapist gave me the visual of whenever you leave, being around those people that are hurting or that person that's, really that you're feeling for, imagine yourself taking off that jacket and leaving it outside your car before you get in or something, because you can't, and it's not your grief to carry, it's not your pain to carry. So I have to really be mindful and that for me that feels like, oh my gosh, that feels so disrespectful. Just take off the jacket and leave it behind and they're on their own. But that's not what it is. It's I'm still showing up for that person, but I have to be able to separate it to when I go home to my family. I'm not
Totally.
living in that state. Have you gotten any advice on being empathetic? And have you felt judged? Do you have people that do not understand it, do not understand how you're so empathetic or vulnerable or,
I haven't, no one's actually judged me to my face. I'm sure people think things for sure,
yeah,
uh, especially people that I've worked with. I feel like friends, we're good, but people that I've employed through the years, I think have gotten frustrated with me because I, give too many discounts, give too many keys away, and it's not good for business. And it stresses them out too. Um, so yeah, they're like, you have got to charge people, and I just and then it goes back to, okay, is that a good thing, or am I actually not knowing my
your
worth and
worth. Yeah.
of giving keys, and it more of a that thing and not a like you're just being nice. It's like, no, you don't know your worth, and you're it's like an unhealthy thing. So it's like noticing that.
Mhm. Have you ever done the process of like writing yourself a love note?
No.
So we're doing this, people don't know this yet, but we're doing this at my event in 2 weeks. So we're going to write two little like postcard notes to friends, women that are not in the room, so that they can get this nice little love note in the mail. But one of my therapists had told me to write a love note to a younger age of myself. Some like if you look back to, and actually this is going kind of viral right now. I've seen one of the Peloton instructors literally just did it yesterday, where she showed, I had coffee with my 18-year-old self. She showed up 10 minutes late. I showed up 10 minutes early. She had on lipstick. So did I. She was hopeful to be a teacher. I was so proud that she didn't know what kind of teacher she would become, and like, it's kind
Who's
of
that?
like,
Tunde? Tunde is
yes,
my,
Tune did it yesterday.
yeah, I
It's,
saw that.
I
She's
like
like a,
screenshotted it. It's so, she's a Giving Key supporter.
yeah.
Yes, of course she is. But it's so cool to kind of think of, and I've never actually totally done it, but we're going to have the women at the event write a little love note to themselves now. And my therapist, so anybody listening that's gone through something hard in your past, that was the challenge for my therapist was write, 16-year-old Bri or 20-year-old Caitlin, or, think of that like difficult time in your life and write a love note to that girl. And like for me, I haven't been able to like mentally prepare myself to like actually do it because it feels like, whoa, that's going to feel really heavy. But there's probably a lot of beauty that can come from it. So just consider that if you haven't done it yet. So okay, in closing, each of my guests here, I like to choose a word for them. I usually share a quote or a song lyric or something, and I typically the word just kind of comes to me, and this word spoke to me right away. I thought I would have a lot of different words for you, and this word spoke to me, and it was brilliance. And brilliance has two different definitions. Of course, you can think of brilliance as in intelligence and like being, and I do think that of you. You're so incredibly intelligent, and you're like, you can think, okay, what's your idea? Let's go with it. You got to and like, and map how to get there and think backwards. Um, but brilliance is also intense brightness of light. And I don't, yes, you are an incredibly bright light in this world, but bigger than that, I think of that ripple effect that Giving Keys has had, that passing on, that uplift, and that how that has touched so many people. I mean, you can't even possibly fathom or like, there's no way to commute it and like actually see numbers because they've been passed on and passed on and passed on and uplifted. But you also are a woman of faith and you've like, that little light, and I tell my kids every day, just be a light in your classroom, be a light in your friend group. I ask for it when I walk into the gym every day when I'm leading my classes. I'm like, Lord, let me be an example of your light and grace. Um, and I don't know that you realize how much light you have dispersed and lit up this world, but like it's the truth. So brilliance is your word. I thank you for being an incredible light and the amount of this world that you've illuminated. But this word, when I looked it up, that was the definition. This is the quote that I chose: blaze a path of your own brilliance and illuminate the world. And
Aw.
it's truly you in a quote. So thank you for being a light. Thank you for being it for so many people that have received those keys. I think it's so cool when you have done those, you've shared stories of people that have gotten keys. And I love when you do, I know you said sometimes your social media team doesn't love it when you're like in the back of a cab after a night out and you hear a cool story and then you're like, live on Instagram, or not live, but you're like, here's a video of me and I'm in the cab and she just had it and I gave her this key. And like, I love those moments because you're just a real person. And aren't we all? Like, we're all wired the same. We have different spaces. I tell people in my gym this too, like, we're all unique. We're all going to have different encounters, different people that we come in contact with, different opportunities, different superpowers, and like skill sets. And you have just inspired so many people through your mission, through your book, through everything you do. So, Caitlin, thank you for being a light in this episode today, in this world, and through everything you do. Keep working hard, keep shining, and thank you for being here today. I appreciate you.
So much for
Anything
having me.
else you want to share with the crowd before we close?
Covered it all. Thank you so much, everybody. Go to all of Bree's events.
Yes, please. Okay. Thank you
And by
guys.
oh yeah, and any giving key you guys want, um, DM me and I can help you find your perfect word. But yeah, just buy giving keys for everyone you know because they're the best thing ever.
Yes, look them up on every platform possible. You're everywhere. But givingkeys.com, is that the
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Thank you, Caitlin. And your book, what's your main book?
Yeah, I have two books. My first one is my favorite. You Are the Key, Turning Imperfections into Purpose. The second one, that was a memoir. And then the second one is called Every Word Matters. And that's more of a kind of coffee table book, journal. Yeah.
Love that. Okay. So I'm going to link all of that, you guys, in the show notes. Thank you again, Caitlin. Keep doing great work.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry,
Okay,
I
let me.
because I was like, oh, I should leave by now, but I'm like, I wanted to
No,
video.
you're good.
I was